Hola, soy Señor Martín. In today's video, we're going to talk about stem-changing verbs that have an O that becomes a UE. If we recap what we talked about in the previous video, we saw verbs that have an E that changes to an IE. Today, our verbs are going to be a little bit different. Let's start with the verb volver. Copy down the drawing that I have on the screen as I explain how it works. You've got the verb volver, which means to return or to come back. And in order to use it in a sentence, we have to change the ending, just like we're used to. But our second step is going to be to change the stem. That O is going to become a UE. It's going to happen in every form except for the nosotros and vosotros forms. So if we continue to the next slide, you can copy down this chart with me in your notes. Vuelvo, vuelves, vuelve, volvemos, volvéis, vuelven. Again, there is really no explanation for why this spelling change happens. It's just something we have to get used to and remember when we're speaking or writing in Spanish. If it helps, you can remember that these are also called boot verbs. If we draw a boot over this chart, the ones inside the boot have the spelling change, while the two outside the boot do not. Let's take a look at some other O to UE stem-changing verbs. This verb should be familiar. If you have to go to the bathroom in class, you can say, ¿Puedo ir al baño? Can I or am I able to go to the bathroom? Puedes, puede, podemos, pueden. Devuelvo, devuelves, devuelve, devolvemos, devuelven. Recuerdo, recuerdas, recuerda, recordamos, recuerdan. So if you can conjugate one stem-changing verb, you can conjugate all of the stem-changing verbs. They follow the same pattern. But there's one more thing. If you come across the verb jugar, meaning to play, as in play a sport, this has a U in it. And this U is going to change to a UE. This is the only verb that works this way, so I'm making one last note of it for you here. Copy this verb into your notes so you remember. Now, the most important thing to keep in mind when working with stem-changing verbs are a three-step process. 1, change the ending of the verb. 2, you must change the E to an IE if it's the E closest to the ending. Also, if it's an O, it needs to change to a UE. And the verb jugar, where the U is going to become a UE. And our last thing to remember is don't change the stem at all if the verb is in the nosotros or the vosotros form. So, how do we know which verbs are stem changers again? We covered the ones that have an E changing to an IE in the previous video. But these are a few with an O that will become a UE. Copy these into your notes so that when you encounter them in class, you will remember that they are spelled differently. Volver, poder, devolver, recordar, and dormir. Finally, now that we're finished covering stem-changing verbs, you must complete this short practice using the notes to earn full credit on the notes for this video. By showing me the practice tomorrow in class, it shows me that you understood what we went over in this video and that you are able to use your notes to actually put the verb into action. So, show this tomorrow in class and have a good evening. Buenas noches.